Hello, this is Professor Charles Jeffries of Seattle Central College, and this segment is on lifespan development. Okay, last time we left off talking about cognitive approach, and so this time I'm going to start talking about learning approach. Okay, learning approach. People come up like Pavlov, Thorndike, Skinner, Watson. A learning approach, unlike the other approach we talked about, in other words, some of Freud's theory and Piaget's theory, Erickson's theory, they were stage theories. Okay, learning approach, they don't really care too much about stage. They're not really into stages, even though learning approach works really well at looking at socialization. In other words, children are rewarded for socially acceptable behaviors and punished or ignored for unacceptable behaviors. And also one of the things I really find interesting about learning approach is not just cross-cultural, it's cross-species. Cross-species. Most people who come from learning approach at one time or another work with animals. I mean, myself, I even work with rats. Okay, I even worked with rats for a while to a certain extent, but think about that. Okay, an extension of Darwin on one level. Well, humans are animals, and you can learn a lot of things by observing animals about humans. Now, learning approach. The first person talking about learning approach is Pavlov, Ivan Pavlov. Pavlov was a Russian physiologist. He's famous for his research on classical conditioning, but he got a Nobel Prize on his research on digestion. And so what basically Pavlov did was he connected a tube to the salivary glands of dogs and measured it different times of the day. And one day he noticed in his laboratory that the dog started salivating, and then a few minutes later, the guy who fed him came in and gave him some food. And Pavlov's initial response was, "Oh, these dogs are psychic. They're psychic. They can tell the future." But upon further investigation, he learned that the dogs had learned to anticipate the food by hearing the guy who was feeding them come in the room and fiddle with the keys and walk down the hall. And that's when Pavlov decided to run an experiment. He'd ring a bell, bring the food in, ring a bell, bring the food in, ring a bell, bring the food in. Okay. Eventually, the dog started salivating to the bell. And that brings us to the definition of classical conditioning: the association of stimuli. The association of stimuli. I know textbooks say the parent of a neutral stimulus with a naturally listening one, so the neutral stimulus brings back the response. But it all comes down to one word: association. The dogs associate the bell with food. Okay, let's kind of touch on the anatomy of what just went on here to a certain extent. In other words, you have the bell starts out as a neutral stimulus. In other words, dogs hear the bell, oh, interesting sound. But eventually, as the food comes in with the bell or behind the bell, eventually the bell becomes associated with the food. And that's when classical conditioning takes place. Once the dogs associate the sound of the bell with the food, that's classical conditioning. Okay, bell rings, food comes, bell rings, food comes. So the bell starts out as a neutral stimulus, but after the pairing takes place and the dogs make that association, the bell is now a conditioned stimulus. A conditioned stimulus is just something associated with something else. I mean, conditioned stimulus for your friend might be their car. You go by their house to visit them, you see their car is not there, you automatically assume what? They're not there either, right? Okay, a simple association. A lot of people make classical conditioning complex, but that's all it is, an association. Okay, and the thing is, in terms of, imagine that, and this is the implication of Pavlov is you can train a reflex of a so-called lower animal, whether it's a dog or a rat or a cat or a rabbit. The implication of complex behavior patterns for humans are unlimited. You can train the reflex of a so-called lower animal, dog or cat. The implication that's where advertisers, sales are making associations. This product associated with success. This product associated with beautiful. This product associated with something else. So that's classical, and any type of association be classical conditioning. And the beauty of classical conditioning is you can be conditioned without your awareness. Think about maybe back in the day, maybe near future, past something, maybe a few years ago, maybe recent past, whatever. Maybe you fell in love. A lot of times couples fall in love and they get Our Song. And that person becomes your ex and you hear that song on the radio. Yeah, you've associated that song. You weren't person, song, one person, song. It just came automatically. And that's the beauty of classical conditioning. People can be conditioned without their will. It's about beauty. What is beautiful? Well, I know some people say it's a universal beauty. Me, I believe that beauty is socially constructed. They put some picture. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. At some point, you're gonna buy it. And if you know what beautiful is, they don't have to tell you what ugly is. I mean, think about little girls. And we're talking about Mary Pfeiffer later on. Little girls in our society are set up to be dysfunctional, according to Mary Pfeiffer. Okay, little girls in our society are set up to be dysfunctional, from the fairy tales and standards of beauty that no one can attain. And we'll talk about that more when we get into early childhood, early middle childhood. But think about that. Conditioned through the fairy tales and standards of beauty that no one can attain. Well, like I said, that beauty is through association. You see so many pictures that tell you it's beautiful. At some point, you associate it with that word. Okay, love, the same thing. We associate love with a set of physiological symptoms. Okay, accelerated heartbeat, dilation of pupils, flushed skin. Okay, and that person comes around, those occur. Oh, that's love. Okay, so that's classical conditioning, association of stimulus. Next, I want to talk about Edward Thorndike and B.F. Skinner. Okay, they talk about operant conditioning. Operant conditioning, okay, operating on the environment. In other words, operant conditioning, one definition is learning the consequences of behavior. I mean, in other words, you're talking about what's different operant and classical conditioning. Everything in classical conditioning and operant conditioning are the same, except in operant conditioning, the response produces a change. Whereas in classical conditioning, it's a simple association. But in operant conditioning, you want to think about Edward Thorndike. Thorndike, he's famous for his research with cats, but he started working with, when he first started working, he worked with baby chickens, ran baby chickens through mazes. He noticed that every time he ran the baby chickens through the maze, they got better and better and better. First time it took him 30 minutes, next time 20 minutes, 15 minutes, eventually 5 minutes. But either way, each time they ran that maze, they improved. So one of the things that Thorndike talked about was trial and error learning through trial and error. He also learned, if you put food at the end of the maze, they learn even faster. That's what Thorndike referred to as incentive. Okay, think about that. Okay, but learning through experiences and learning consequences. What he's famous for, research he's famous for, he put a cat in a box and set up to where the cat could pull a string to get out. First time he put the cat in the box, he did all kinds of random stuff. He eventually accidentally pulled the string, the box opened up. Next time he put the cat in the box, didn't waste any time, just went right to that string and pulled it. And that's where he came up with Thorndike's Law. Thorndike's Law states if a response is followed by a reward, the possibility of response occurring again is increased. In other words, if you do something, you get rewarded for it, chances are you'll do it again. That's Thorndike's Law. If you do something, you get rewarded for it, chances are you'll do it again. You ever go to, if you ever take your dog to a doggy school, sit, and as soon as the dog sits, they give him a little biscuit, roll over, give him a biscuit. Okay, that's what we're talking about, rewarding behavior. Another thing Thorndike said is it's much easier to reward or more effective reward people for what you want them to do than to punish them what you don't want to do. Because in other words, Thorndike said punishment doesn't always work. And there are 4 reasons why punishment doesn't work. First problem is it's confusing. We being punished. Go to any criminal justice or any jail, prison, and why are you here? Because I got caught. You don't go to jail for committing crimes. You go to jail for for getting caught committing crimes. Okay, so that's where I say it's confusing. What are they really being punished for? Another problem with punishment is sometimes punishment can be a reward. You're suspended for a week. Oh, thank you. I need a vacation. Okay, so on one level, the person thinks they're punishing by kicking them out of school, but the child is saying, hey, thank you. I want a break. Another problem with punishment is basically if it's too extreme, you can get a rebellion. If the punishment is too extreme or the person being punished thinks it's not fair, you can get a rebellion. And the last reason punishment is not important, not as effective, okay, is that it only works in the presence of the punisher. Okay, so we talked a little about, gave you touched on Skinner. We talked about Thorndike. We talked a little about Pavlov, and so next section we'll look at learning approach a little bit more in detail, and we'll start talking about B.F. Skinner.